business, as we did have an episode, I don't know a better way to put it, involving a horse in the race, as Thunder Snow, number 2, broke poorly and basically didn't contest the race after that, and we brought Dr. Latson around to explain what happened as far as we know. So, Doctor, thank you for being here.
Well, as far as we know, you're right, he didn't break well. He was picked up immediately by the outrider and galloped very comfortably back to the paddock, where he was examined by Dr. Jennifer Cake. That's Kaak. And she found no injuries on the legs. So the horse was allowed to walk back to the barn under his own power, and he did so comfortably.
Any questions?
All right.
That's what happens with 170,000 people and
good news.
Thoroughbreds. So
good news.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
Doctor.
you're
Appreciate it. Dr. Latson is our on-call practitioner for the AAEP. We appreciate them very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. Happy Derby.
Happy Derby. Hey, thanks, Doc. Good to see you again, man.
Easy. I can check and see. Changes. He did have none on this one, but I don't know. So. Hey, what's that? The doctor's LATS. There you go. Dr. Keith Latson. And he's the on-call veterinarian for the AAEP. Okay, great. Thank you.
Transcriptionist. Wireless mic test, 1, 2. That's better up here. Thank you very much. Again, our winning connections will be here shortly. Todd Fletcher, the winning trainer. John Velasquez, the winning jockey for Kentucky Derby 143. Maybe we can make a change in the middle so that both the TVs and the transcriptionists can hear. That would be best. I think she's up all the way as that she can be. Okay, yeah, you guys can come down just a little bit. She's fine now, or better now. Wireless mic test, 1, 2, 3. TVs, you good with audio now? 1, 2, 3, got a thumbs up. Jen, you okay? Okay, we're all good. Thank you, everybody. Mic test, 1, 2, 3. Wireless mic test, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the post-race press conference for Kentucky Derby 143. All right, our participants for our post-race press conference are on their way. They should be here shortly. Okay, where TV has told us that we may need to. So we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of the winning connections for Kentucky Derby 143.
Is Terry coming? Which owner's company, you know?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
It all got separated there at the
I
end.
got you. Okay. Are we ready? Are they in the building? Are we close or anything? They're not close, but we'll start with the time. Somebody bird dog it for me. Okay, see you. Waiting on representatives of the winning owners and on jockey John Velasquez, who was scheduled to ride in this race, but took off of the mount. Okay, Johnny. Okay.
know he's screaming.
Who's that guy? Where?
One and two.
I think Johnny's going here.
Johnny's there.
Is it? Yeah, good.
Yeah, these two seats right here, and we'll have John next to Todd.
Thank you.
Can you believe this?
I can.
Signing Johnny V anywhere? He's on his way? Okay.
I'm gonna
You guys
meet
don't
Jimmy
mind for
right
a
up
second or
back.
two?
No, not at all.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
What a great day. Pardon? Anything else? Sure. We got no problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not the NCAA tournament. You guys do what you want to. We welcome this, so, at least at the moment. Always good to see roses go through the room. It's a good thing.
Hey, look at that.
Wow, what a ride. What a ride. See, here's where Irish work.
Folks, we're just going to go ahead and get started.
Can't take 'em. Can't
John
get 'em.
Velasquez will be joining us shortly.
He just
And
pushes him a little bit here, and he's gone. We're gone.
see him yet, so we'll go ahead and get started and start this post-race discussion of Kentucky Derby 143 and the victorious Always
And Irish
Dreaming.
work right before.
That was your cue. Very good. I'm going to let these gentlemen, the representatives of the owners group, identify themselves, and then we'll go to Todd, and we'll get to Johnny V, but and talk about other members of the ownership group. So if you could both give your name to the group here, and we'll go from there.
I'm Anthony Bonomo.
Vinny
with no
Viola.
voice.
Anthony Bonomo with no voice.
And Vinny Viola.
Vinny Viola, representative of the owners group, and down at the end, of course, is Todd Fletcher in his second Kentucky Derby victory. Thank you. Go ahead and start with Todd while we wait for John Velasquez, the winning jockey. Todd, we were talking in the paddock a couple of days ago, and you had your horse out there. You had Always Dreaming, and you were looking at him, and you said, you know, I'm a little concerned about he's a little active in the morning. He said, but I think if he's on his race, we might see something really special. And it worked out, didn't it?
It did. It worked out. There were a few anxious moments, earlier in the week, and for whatever reason, he was ready to run upon arrival. He'd trained brilliantly all winter. Mr. Bonomo, Mr. Viola, and all of us had talked about it, a game plan a long time ago, back before we decided to run him in a maiden race at Tampa, and it wasn't like we were going there because we were cherry picking a spot. We were going there with a plan of hopefully ending up here, and as you know, in this business, sometimes it works out. A lot of times it doesn't. So when you kind of have a vision 4 or 5 months in advance and it all comes together, it's especially rewarding.
He was never a secret. You look at the past performances, he was a favorite or close to it in every start, but lost those first couple. But at what point did you feel he took the step that set him in this direction?
We actually, when Mr. Viola and Mr. Bonomo went partners, this horse was part of the package that they had put together, and so we picked the horse up right at the beginning of September, and decided that after we all talked about it that a little freshening would be good for him. So Jim Krupe, who had prepared the colt as a yearling, and we sent him back to him. He gave him some time off, and it really paid off. When he sent him back to us, he was in great form, looked fantastic, and we could see right away as soon as we were breezing him that he had extra special talent. And from that point on, it literally everything went exactly like we wanted to until we got here, and he was just super aggressive and way more forward in the mornings, galloped much stronger, and so we got the big breeze in. Johnny breezed him a week ago yesterday, and he did what I see a number of horses that run well in the Derby do. He put in a huge work and huge gallop out, and so we were really excited about that. And he came out of it so well. He was just, he was aggressive every morning and made a couple equipment changes and exercise rider change, and that seemed to help. But we also felt like he was setting on go, and almost to the point where our main focus was just trying to deliver it at 6:45 on Saturday and not 6:45 on Thursday morning.
Doc, could you talk just a little bit about, again, it's your second win here, ironically both on wet tracks here, but how does this one at this point, I know it's awfully fresh in the rearview mirror, compared to that first one?
Well, I mean, it's our Derby record's been talked about a lot, and and like we've talked about, I felt like about the first 25 starters, I had to defend my Derby record. I felt like this week people were defending it for me for some reason. But when you look at it now, we've been here. I think this was our 17th Derby, and to be fortunate enough to have 2 wins and 2 seconds, and I think 3 thirds. I mean, it looks a little better, but to me, felt like I really needed that second one. One more, and. The first one was extra special. I have a tremendous respect for the race, tremendous respect for how difficult it is to win, but I felt like we needed another one as a team to put it together, and felt like Johnny and I needed one together as well. And we've been blessed. We've had a great relationship for a long time now, and we've won a lot of races together, and but this one we hadn't, and this is the one we wanted to win together, and I'm glad we could do it.
He's already been essentially introduced, but John Velasquez has joined us now after 2 Kentucky Derby wins, winning today on Always Dreaming. And John, just talk about your thoughts from the gate on this guy. You knew he was doing well coming in.
The strategy was obviously, try to leave out of the gate without any trouble. And he broke, the first step, I wasn't too happy with the second step. I had to ask him to break, and then he got into a good rhythm right away. And once I was going forwardly placed into going into the wire for the first time, I was happy where I was. I saw the other horse. Obviously, the other horse, Lescano was riding, showed some speed. He was going, so I let him go and go into that first turn. I eased away from him, and then on the backstretch, I took a hold of him, and as soon as I got to the backstretch, and he was going really comfortable. The horses just started kind of moving a little sooner than I expected it on the backstretch, but he was going really well. And that's what I did, just wait for the competition, the pressing a little bit. After that, in the quarter pole, when I asked him, he switched the lead and he got down and he started running really now. I was very happy when he switched down the lane, and I felt the way he was running. So I said, well, they're going to have to really run really fast to get him, because, I mean, he was going, definitely.
Were you concerned, again, Todd had mentioned earlier, when we first got here, he was pretty active in the morning and then settled right down. And but again,
well, I watched him. Todd and I talked about him. I mean, once I worked him, he worked really good. I was very impressed the way he worked with the many horses who come in prior derbies, and the way he worked out. I was really impressed. After that, he was fresh. I asked Todd, how was my horse? And it's just like, he's ready to run. And I was happy with that. So that's what I needed to hear.
Could you talk a bit about winning one with Todd here? You guys
well, very special. Todd mentioned earlier that, all the success that we have had in the past in winning all kind of races, on all important races, but missing this one is definitely a big one. And I really thank Todd for, being behind me for 24 years together, something like that. It's a long time, and for him to still trust in me and give me opportunity, it's not very often it happens in this business.
These 2 gentlemen had the experience of winning a Kentucky Derby before today. Mr. Bonomo, Mr. Viola have not until this time, but now you are Kentucky Derby winners. Could you talk a little bit about the experience and what this day means to you? And pull the mic up just a little bit. You go first.
I gotta go first all the time.
You've got the voice.
Well, growing up as kids, and we've won a lot of Kentucky Derbies, but never in reality. I think we just knew when we got together something special was going to happen. And then, Johnny and Todd have been great, and the horse has been super. and it's been a family affair, you know. Look at that over there, and you know, we have so many people to thank because there's so many people that were involved in this. Jim Kruppe, his farm, who broke the horse, you know, the guys who picked him out, Steve Young, Chris Brothers, my son who overspent, who I really, really love now. You know, it's just been a family affair for both of us, and so to be sitting up here, as I said, it's been done thousands of times, I know in my mind, but, you know, to have it in reality, it's amazing.
Someone asked me on the way in, is this the greatest feeling you've ever had? And I said yes, and he said, the best? And I said, well, besides the birth of my children and meeting my wife. But for me, Anthony and I think, represent everybody who went to the racetrack for the first time with their dads and were just astonished by the brilliance of these athletes, these equine athletes, and never fell out of love with the sport. And to sit up here, and you have to say it, really, we are two kids still in our heart from Brooklyn, New York, Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, who we always dreamed, and this is one of the dreams that came true. And I do want to make sure that I take the time to thank Todd and Johnny and Jimmy Kruppe, who broke this horse and really put this horse into shape that it needed to be to go back to Todd and win. So thank you, Jimmy. And very blessed that Anthony and Mary Ellen allowed my family to join in the partnership of this horse. We want to thank you all. And all I can say is, go dreaming.
Before we open up for questions, could you again just talk about how the relationship came about, the ownership relationship, and
I'll take this one. I know Anthony since I was maybe 9 or 10. He was maybe 7 or 8, and he's always been a larger than life champion guy. It didn't matter what it was, if it was stickball or punch ball, he was always going to fight till he won. And there's a long story about how we reacquainted when I was a cadet at West Point, and he was pitching for St. John's, but I'll let him tell that story at another time. And I don't know, it's just a natural. When I decided to get back into horse racing, I called him, and I said, what do you think I should do? And he told me, get off the phone and call Jimmy Kruppe, and the rest is history. So that's my take. Always thought he was a champion as a kid, and we've always gotten along very well naturally, and I think it's typical of our neighborhood. So
I just love seeing him in that West Point uniform. You know, he actually represented everything I wasn't. He was orderly, you know, disciplined, and you know, I wasn't. But you know, we've even when we don't speak, we do speak. So, and then our wives and kids get along so well together. So, you know, it was pandemonium once Dreaming went by. You know, I don't even know who was on my back, who was on your back. But you know, it's, you know, for me, it's just a dream. I mean, and my wife picked out the greatest name. I mean, how do you pick out a name, attach it to a horse, and this happens? You know, you could use the word destiny, whatever you want to say, but we've been fortunate, and you know, I don't know. The rest is now up to Todd where we're going next, right? So, it's amazing.
Just one more quick question about, because there may have never been a better named Kentucky Derby horse than this one. It's such a lovely name. But what was the inspiration for?
You can ask her, because it wasn't mine. It was my wife's. What was the inspiration?
Hold on.
There
We
you
got
go.
you. Hold on. We good?
Can you believe this? What do you think's going on in Vermont?
I know my father's there, your father's there.
There we go.
Teresa, come here, Teresa.
I just, a little overwhelmed. I just always daydream. I probably daydream a little too much. I kind of live in Xanadu sometimes, and I just, you know, I said, why don't we just name it dreaming? Everybody dreams of something, whether it's a big event or a special day, the birth of their child. winning the Kentucky Derby. So I just said, let's, always dreaming. And then it just took off. And now I said, when this horse has its first baby, we're going to name it Keep On Dreaming.
Yes.
We're just overwhelmed. It's just a great day.
And your name is Mary Ellen.
And my name is Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open it up for questions here. Right here.
Todd, you've won $60 million more than any other trainer, and yet you felt like you needed this for validation. Is that the case? And do you feel relieved or joy or both or what right now?
A little bit of everything. I don't know, validations, I don't think I'm any better trainer right now than I was an hour ago, but yeah, I mean, I felt like another one would solidify it, and there's been taken a lot of criticism for our Derby record, and so we were hoping to improve on that, and I think that's what you do. That's what I try to inspire my kids with, that you're gonna have challenges, and you're not always gonna do as well as you want, but you got to get up and you got to work hard at it, and you got to keep trying, and when it doesn't work, figure out why, and keep going, and so I thought this one, I was hoping there was another one, and thankful that there was.
Okay, Ron, right here, and then we'll go over here.
Johnny, did you, taking him just off the lead, was there any trouble keeping him where you wanted him? Did he show any signs that he wanted to take off? Just how much control, or how much were you guys, were you and the horse in sync?
Once I got the position I wanted, I was comfortable where I was. I didn't want to be head and head with the other horse. Obviously, he wanted to the lead, so it made it easy for me to get back up from behind him and get into the clear instead of being pinned down in there. Once I got him to the outside, he relaxed really well. The other horse come to, like I said before, they came to me in the backstretch, and he got into the bridle, past the horse who was on the lead. I went right back to the rail. Kind of held him together, whatever he was comfortable. He was doing it really well, and he was taking me and nice rhythm. He had a good hold on me. After that, it was pretty easy.
You're back here.
Yeah, this is for Anthony and Vinny. Vinny mentioned going to the track with your dads when you were a kid. Could you talk about, I assume it's Aqueduct or Belmont, but could you talk about going to the races with your dad when you were a kid, and how that led to your lifetime in it?
Briefly, it was just magical to be next to your dad, as he was really committed to a sport he loved, and my dad handicapped and bet, quite frankly, every day of his life. And I remember so distinctly the crowds, Saturday afternoon crowds, and I remember distinctly that the men would respect each other because they would fold their newspapers and put it in the seams of the seat. And as a young man, I thought, wow, that's really cool, because these guys are pretty impressive, mostly men at the track. And I tell the story my dad taught me about betting, because he'd let me stand in front of the tote board, and I had to tell him what numbers moved while he was gone. It wasn't until I was much older I realized he was going to get a shot of scotch in the bar, but that's a whole nother story. And Anthony?
Wait, my dad, he used to like to watch the races, but we didn't go as much as I would like because he worked so much in the day. He was a laborer, a bricklayer. But where I really got into it was when I met my wife, her dad, who unfortunately isn't here anymore, but he loved racing. And, just loved being at the barn, being in these things. So to a large degree, he was here today. I think they all were riding that horse with Johnny. I don't know if he felt any extra weight. But I used to have some great times with my father-in-law. And, the inspiration came from him loving it and then my wife loving it. I wasn't much of a big fan. I used to like to sneak into the track occasionally with him. And, we'd have like $3 between us. And we'd beg some older man to put a bet on for us, $2. And guys say, how old are you? I said, 24. It's just, it's surreal. It really is. This race, I played the race in my mind all week, and it came out the way I was dreaming about it. But until today, I guess dreams do come true. So
Amen.
Mr. Crawford.
I've heard you describe that race all week, so that's
true.
that's how it worked out. I've noticed you keep looking at the replay, but you also keep looking at your phone and probably hearing from back home. What do you anticipate the reception in Brooklyn will be when you go back?
I was looking because I didn't know your phone could store 267 messages. and then I'm trying to figure out, how the hell am I going to return all these? But I begged Vinny on the way over to have a party at the restaurant that he's paying for. So all these messages, maybe we could return them in person, because that's what our neighborhood's about. They carry you in times like this that are great, but more importantly, when they're not as great, is when you really know the value that your friends are friends forever. So we're thrilled about it.
Right. No, I'll come down right here. Well, go ahead. We'll then hand it forward.
Just two quick questions for Todd. Are you in fact now undefeated with the goatee, and do you plan on keeping it throughout the Triple Crown season?
Keep it, Todd, keep it.
I can assure you I'm not undefeated. There's been plenty of losers since I've grown up, but I think I'm going to have a tough time shaving it now.
It's not coming off.
All right, second row here.
Todd, you're saying how your horse was pretty excitable in the morning, so it's kind of hard to get him to relax. How did you manage to go about that, and were you concerned that maybe he had run his race a few days before he actually ran it?
Well, my biggest concern was I wasn't completely sure why, because, you know, the horse had galloped on a daily basis exceptionally well all winter, and, you know, he was into his training, but he wasn't ranked like he was when he first got here, and it was literally the first day you could see a difference in his personality. And you know, we'd shipped him to Gulfstream twice to run. We'd shipped him to Tampa, although he didn't train at Tampa, but both times that we shipped him to Gulfstream before the allowance race in the Florida Derby, we shipped him over a couple of days early because I wanted to school him in the paddock, and we left him at Gulfstream from our home base at Palm Beach Downs, and he galloped very kindly there, so I didn't anticipate that he would be any different here. And he shipped in before, you know, I would say it gets real crazy around here. And, you know, the last couple of days leading up to it, Wednesday and Thursday, I think, are especially highly attended, a little bit hectic training hours, and a lot of people on the backside. You can almost sometimes have trouble getting to the track. So it wasn't that. I think he really came in here and he knew it was game time, and he was ready to go. So our challenge was put him on the ground for 10 days, and you know, he galloped twice before Johnny breezed him on Friday, and decided not to give him a day off because we wanted to hopefully calm him down off the breeze. And the first day he was pretty good. The second day he was too strong, and that's when we decided to make the equipment change, put the draw reins on, and switch exercise riders. And Nick Bush did a heck of a job. Adele did a great job galloping him all winter. But I can tell you, I was nervous watching him gallop, because he was so ready to go that I just felt like, you know, if he ever built up a head of steam, he was going to go. And so we were just trying to keep him relaxed. I felt really good when we paddock schooled him this week. Tuesday he came over, he was good. Wednesday we brought him over, and couldn't have asked for him to behave any better than he did. He was absolutely perfect and calm and relaxed, and felt much better after I saw that. And then, of course, you know, the weather all week has been crazy, and so you worry about all those things and what you're going to do with the raining and the track sloppy. But you know, the most important thing to do is to bring the best horse to the Derby, and I think that's what we were able to do this year.
Pat Forty.
Yeah, Todd, continuing along that on the changes you made leading up to the Derby with the equipment and with the equipment and with the exercise rider, have you done that before leading into a big race? Is that all like calculated risk?
Well, I mean, we have to make adjustments all the time in training. You know, that's what we do, and I think I don't recall having to do it in a high-profile situation. Certainly not with a likely Derby favorite. No, I've never had to do it like that. But you know, I mean, part of what we do as trainers is we observe how things are going with the horse, how they're galloping. And, you know, sometimes we'll make adjustments, sometimes we'll make equipment adjustments, sometimes we'll have to make rider adjustments. But, you know, the focus is always to do what's best for the horse, and you know, it was clear that we needed to make a few adjustments to get it right, and you know, thankfully we did.
Right here. Hang on, we'll get John here. Got a mic.
Todd, continuing on that, with the draw range, what were you trying to accomplish with the draw range, and how important do you think that turned out to be?
Well, I don't think we were gonna get to the race in as good a shape as we did without him. You know, he's an intelligent colt, and you know, he was aggressive. He's wanted to run, and you know, so the rider tried to restrain him. He put his head up in the air to kind of break the rider's hold. So we felt like the draw reins would control him better, bring his head down, give the rider better control. And the main thing is I just wanted to control the pace of his gallops. You know, he was essentially wanting to run the race in the morning, and we couldn't do that. So it paid off. I think it's you know, big part of why he's successful and today, and we're thankful we did that. I'm glad it paid off.
I'll take a couple over here. Go ahead.
Johnny, felicidades. ¿Cómo comparas esta victoria a la primera que tuviste hace unos años y la clave de la victoria a pesar de las condiciones en la pista?
En español. Bueno, de verdad que de la primera a la segunda vez es lo mismo. No pierdes de buscar esa segunda victoria o la primera o la segunda, no importa cómo uno lo quiera describir, porque de verdad que es una carrera bien especial. No había ganado la carrera con Tapichot, ganándola con él también lo hace más especial. Los dueños han sido amigos de nosotros también, sí que se han portado muy bien conmigo. De verdad que lo hace más claro y especialmente, ¿verdad? Para todos, sí.
¿Y las condiciones cómo superaste?
Bueno, la pista nadie sabe, porque de verdad él nunca había corrido en una pista encharcada hasta el día de hoy. Se ve que le encantó. nunca hizo nada malo con la pista, y de verdad que nos salió muy bien, gracias a Dios.
Okay, John, we're going to ask you to serve as your own translator, please. Could you please tell us what you said?
Basically, I said the same thing in what I said in English. I speak it a little faster in English, but the question was that how did I felt, you know, going winning my second derby, and to tell you the truth, you know, it's not just winning the second derby. It's like you still have the feeling and looking for the next derby. Todd had won it before, and obviously you came back to the derby looking for another one. You're always hungry for it, you know, and missing it with Todd basically was missing, and winning it with him special, with the owners as well. They've been friends, and they've been really good to us. The part of the question was that, what about the track? Well, we didn't know anything about the track and how he was going to handle it, because he's never run on the sloppy track. And I said to him, so it didn't seem like it bothered him. It seemed like he loved him. He loved the track, obviously, the way he ran.
Thank you much. Right.
Yeah, a question for Todd. In a race that has such an unpredictable history with like 50-1 Giacomo and 20 horse fields, why are favorites in your mind on the run that they're on in the last 5-6 years, the favorites performing that well in such a big race where so many factors are, you know, in front of you?
John, how many years has this been the bonus
now.
point?
This is five straight favorites after.
And how many years have they rechanged the point system?
5 years.
So 5. I mean, I wouldn't be positive that that's the reason, but I mean, I think evidence would suggest that could have some influence. I know that, you know, it's likely to have some pace influence on the race when graded stakes earnings at 6 and 7 furlongs aren't, you know, awarded points for the Kentucky Derby. So I think there could be a role in that. I mean, you know, everyone wants to analyze short-term trends in racing, and you know, I think when you look at it over a longer period of time, it you know, who knows, the next 5 might be 40-1 or higher, but I think you could make a case that these races are a little more honestly run with the point system, and I think it gives the better horses the best chance to get in and maybe not deal with strictly a sprinter to set up the early part of the race. And I think during that 5 years, you've seen horses come from all kinds of different positions in the race to do well. But I'd say that's a little bit to do with it.
Right here.
Todd, you've had a lot of success, not coming to Baltimore and waiting for the Belmont. Do you anticipate definitely running in the Preakness? And if it plays out that way, do you think the horse is well suited to do the 3 and 5 weeks?
My initial impression is he finished the race great. He galloped out well. He came back to the winner's enclosure and seemed like he'd caught his breath pretty quickly, and gotten text from the barn that he's back there already in good shape and looks well. So, I think if he's doing well, we're going to go to Baltimore, and I don't think I'll have to twist anybody's arm on the other side of the table here to do that. We'll hope.
In the back, please.
This is a question for the owners. Can you just describe what it's like to work with Todd as the trainer of your horses? And also for Todd, what time would be a good time for media to come to your barn tomorrow?
I think it's horrific to work with Todd. No, I'm like, he is the consummate professional. He's business, but he has a personality that until you really get to know him, he's just a gentleman. Forget about his talent with horses, but as a human being, he's just great. You could ask him anything you want, even when probably he doesn't want us to ask him something, because I know I'm annoying at times, but it's just been wonderful. He's professional. He does what he has to do, and he's got that game face on and the goatee that's going to last for a long time. So it's just been fantastic, and he's just the best.
He's a superstar. He's a superstar.
Question right over here.
Todd, that decision you made about Fountain of Youth when you said you wanted him more I think you said more foundation, more education. Where does that fit in the context with this? Now it's just 2 months ago.
Well, it was part of the game plan that we had discussed, and the one thing that we wanted to do was have the horse peak today, not in the Florida Derby or not in the Fountain of Youth. And there was some risk with that plan, because by not going in the Fountain of Youth, he had no points at that stage of his career. But we felt like we were all comfortable taking our best shot at the Florida Derby as his only point eligible prep. And we all were comfortable with the fact that if something happened and he didn't earn enough points, that we were willing to live with that decision. Biggest concern, honestly, after the allowance race that we decided to go in on Fountain of Youth Day, was that he won so easily, and the fractions were so slow. We were a little bit concerned that maybe he didn't get enough out of it. And really, when Johnny and I were talking about race strategy prior to that race, we were hoping that maybe we could have him sit behind a couple of horses, educate him a little bit, hopefully win and move forward. And as it worked out, first of all, it was a very slow track that day. And, so the fractions are probably a little bit deceptive, but he basically won so easily that Johnny asked him to finish the last eighth of a mile and gallop out, but it was more or less a afternoon workout. So seemed to do fine for him once we got to the Florida Derby, and he showed us that he could handle multiple different types of tracks. The day he won the allowance race at Gulfstream, I would have considered to be the slowest track Gulfstream had this meet, and I would say that the Florida Derby day was arguably the fastest. But anytime you have a 3-year-old break 148 April 1st, it's pretty special. And I think his time that day in the Florida Derby, even though the track was fast, was the fastest Florida Derby since Aladar, and did it the right way, finished up great. And we were pretty high on him from the very beginning, but he kept showing us over and over again, every breeze this winter, every race we ran him, he was special every time.
Any others? Right here.
Two questions for me, one for Todd, one for Johnny. Todd, just interested in the opposite end of that dynamic. Somebody asked earlier about what it's like for them working with you. I wonder what it's like for you working with this ownership team. And then for Johnny, I don't say that you're not the most demonstrative jockey, but I mean, to see a celebration like that from you is a little different. Just wondering what's going on inside here and up here during those final strides.
For me, first, obviously, like I said before, you're still hungry. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. Let's put it that way. And winning it with Todd, obviously, is very special. Winning with, like I said, with the owner is actually very special. Not getting any younger. So the feeling that you get is actually you're hungry, you're still here, you still have it. You get an opportunity to ride a horse like this. I guess you got to enjoy it.
One of the great things about being a trainer is you get to deal with some really smart people and some really successful people, and these guys have been very successful in their lives, and so when you get an opportunity to learn from those guys and then communicate with them, we had some really positive discussions about what we thought the horse could potentially do, and some good discussions about what the game plan was, and like I said, that they were willing to take a shot at letting us bring the horse along, develop him the way we wanted to, and not be tempted by some of the earlier stake races, and comfortable with taking a shot at the Florida Derby, and so it's great when you have a good line of communication and you're on the same page and you have the same goals, and so it's been a pleasure for us and our whole team to work with all of them.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
All right. I will mention Todd. I don't know if you remember this from the other night. We had the post draw, but along with the joy of winning the Kentucky Derby, taking some roses home and the winner's share, Todd also gets a large Dodge Ram truck as the winning trainer.
Thank you.
I understand you'll
Thank
be
you.
getting keys to that tomorrow if you're going to be hanging around. So
I'll definitely take the truck because it has significant sentimental meaning to me to do that. But I'd like to donate the value of the truck to Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance and New Vocations.
Nice.
Very important cause for us to take care of our retired racehorses, and so, like I said, I want to keep the truck, but I'm happy to make that donation.
Thanks, Tom. In the morning, there'll be some folks wanting to come see you. What time will you be at the barn in the morning? If you
Probably
care to
be
share.
there a little later than normal.
So, you're on your own, in other words.
Thank you.
Thank you
Johnny,
all.
thank you much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the connections of Always Dreaming, Anthony Bonomo, Vincent Viola, two-time Derby winner Todd Pletcher, and two-time winning jockey John Velasquez. Thanks so much.